Good morning, everybody. Hello there, my little nature nuts. It is Miss Beth here to share some more fun activities so you guys can keep learning and exploring while at home. So we have been talking about some pretty cool things, and yesterday was an exciting day because you guys got to see Miss Tara release some butterflies, right? We got to watch those eggs grow into caterpillars, turn into cocoons, and release as a butterfly out into the garden. So today we are going to explore lots of different garden bugs and how they help us and our plants that grow. So you guys have learned a lot about the butterfly life cycle, right? How it is a continuous circle. We started as an egg. It hatched out as a caterpillar. It munched up all its leaves and went into a cocoon before it turned into that beautiful butterfly. And he went through a big change. And there was a science word for that, a big word called metamorphosis. Can you say that? Metamorphosis. That caterpillar went through a giant change to look like that butterfly, very different. So first I'm going to share with you a little activity for a play set so you can play with the butterfly life cycle and have your own butterfly to play with. Now we know that the butterfly life cycle starts with just a little egg on a leaf. So to make this, I used a toilet paper tube, a fake leaf I had, and added a little pom-pom for an egg. What comes out of that egg? Who remembers? Out of that egg comes a hungry caterpillar. So to make my caterpillar, I added some pom-poms to a clothespin and gave him some cute little googly eyes. So after he comes out of that egg, he's gonna munch, 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 eat up all the leaves he can till he gets nice and fat. And then what happens to my caterpillar? He climbs into a cocoon. So I'm gonna put him right here into my tube. And he makes himself a nice, strong, safe cocoon. So I'm going to tie some ribbon or string around his cocoon to keep him nice and safe as he goes through his metamorphosis, his big change. And then we learned watching Miss Tara's cocoon that it takes a couple of days and all this magic is happening inside while it's changing. And then after a couple of days, what's going to come out of the cocoon? A magical, beautiful butterfly. Look at that, came right out of our cocoon. To make my butterfly, I used the same caterpillar on a clothespin with his googly eyes, and I used a coffee filter and painted it. You might have done this project with Miss Tara. You painted a bunch of coffee filters, but I can just bunch that up, open up the mouth of my caterpillar, and add that right inside. So then I have the whole life cycle of my caterpillar that I can play with over and over again. I can just fold up my butterfly, put him right back in the cocoon, and ready to emerge again and play. Pretty awesome, right? So we know that butterflies are colorful and they visit our garden and help pollinate our flowers. And we'll talk a little more about that in a moment. But I want to show you another garden bug that we enjoy seeing. Some people think they're lucky, and it is a red bug with black spots. What red bug has black spots? What's this? A ladybug. Awesome. So ladybugs are just like butterflies in the sense that they go through a major change. They metamorphosis. So it starts with those little eggs on the leaf, and out of the egg actually comes a bumpy orange and black beetle. That doesn't look like a ladybug. So that bumpy orange and black beetle goes into a cocoon, an orange and black cocoon, and then out comes our beautiful spotted ladybug with wings to fly. So just like our butterfly going through a big change, so do my ladybug friends. So you might see different cocoons in your garden based on the bugs that are changing. So let's play a game with our ladybug to show our appreciation for these guys. So my ladybug here has some circles on it, but they're not filled in spots. So I'm going to try to fill in my ladybug's spots. Can you count how many spots there are with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My ladybug needs 12 spots. So in order to play this game, I am going to use some pom-poms and a science tool called the tweezer. And I'm going to roll my dice that also have spots on them to see how many dots my ladybug's going to get. So if I roll my dice and then count the spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My ladybug will get 6 spots. So I will use my science tool. I will pick up my pom-poms and I will fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. My ladybug has 6 spots. So this is a fun activity that you can do that helps with your counting and your hands using your science tool. And you can take turns giving your ladybug spots. Pretty cool, right? Now there are many, many other bugs in our garden, but I want to look at the bugs that help us. So how does a ladybug help us in the garden? Well, this little guy likes to eat very small, tiny bugs that hurt our plants. So this guy's like a protector. He protects our plants from other little bugs. So we like when ladybugs are in our garden. There are other critters that fly around our garden that also help. The next one, some people might be a little scared of. They can hurt us, but they don't want to hurt us. They do have a stinger, and they fly around from flower to flower, just like a butterfly. And they buzz around. What's this guy? A bumblebee. Now, just like our butterflies, our bumblebees are very important for our plants and growing our fruits and vegetables. Because this fuzzy little bug will come to one flower, get attached with all its seeds, buzz around to another flower, and then shake those seeds off. So it helps those different flowers and fruits grow. And what those butterflies and bumblebees are doing is actually drinking what's called nectar from those flowers. So they have a very cool body part. They have a very long, straw-like mouth called a proboscis. That's a big word. This proboscis is just like a straw. And my butterflies have it and my bees have it. And then they can dip their straw into the flower, suck up their nectar, and go to the next flower. And then their little mouth just curls right back up so they have it when they're hungry again. Pretty awesome, right? So let's explore how the butterfly and the bumblebee suck up that nectar and use some more science tools. So I have created a little flower and filled it up with some yellow nectar or juice. And my science tool for this is going to be an eyedropper. And we've explored eyedroppers in the past in class. And we know to use my eyedropper, I have to squeeze my bubble, dip it inside the water, release my bubble, and I sucked up all my juice. So butterflies drink up the nectar, and that's what gives them energy. Bumblebees do something a little different. When they suck up their nectar, they bring it back to their home, to their beehive, and put it in little pockets. So to create my beehive or my little pockets for my nectar, I have an egg carton. So I'm going to take my nectar, squeeze it into one hole of my egg carton, and keep going using my science tool to suck up my nectar, bring it back to my beehive, and place that nectar into the little combs. Now, bees help pollinate our flowers, But this nectar in their beehive is also making something special for us. And it actually makes honey. We like honey because it's very sweet. We put it in our desserts and we put it in our tea. And so these bumblebees are going from flower to flower, collecting all this nectar, and eventually it's going to turn into some delicious honey, okay? So I used my science tool to fill up my honeycomb with all that delicious nectar, just like a bumblebee would do with its straw. So our bumblebees are very special because they help pollinate and they give us honey that we eat. So farmers actually have farms with just bumblebees, millions and millions of bumblebees flying around to make us some honey so we can eat. So another fun activity we can do to show our appreciation for those bumblebees is creating our own little beehive. And I told you the beehive has little combs, little sections in it. So to create your own beehive, I'm going to use recyclable materials from around the house, and I'm going to use bubble wrap that comes from our packages to create this awesome beehive. For my example, I used big bubble wrap with some big circles to make a big honeycomb, but I'm going to show you how to make one with a smaller one as well. So for this, I need some bubble wrap. I need a piece of paper. And then I just need some yellow paint. So I'm going to seal the bubble wrap. One side is flat and one side has all those little pockets and bubbles. So I want the side with all the pockets and bubbles. I'm going to use some yellow paint. Dip my brush into the yellow paint. Get it all over my bubble wrap because I want all those little combs, those little pockets to collect all my nectar and create some honey. So once I have that yellow paint all over my bubble wrap, then comes the fun part. I'm gonna pick it up, turn it over onto my paper, use my hands and squish, 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 so all the paint goes onto my paper, and ta-da! I have my awesome honeycomb with all my little pockets. But it's missing those little bees buzzing around. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my thumbprint, add it into the paint. And if you explored ladybugs with Miss Tara, you did this and made ladybug thumbprints. So for this, I'm just doing little thumbprints, buzzing around my hive. And just like Miss Tara did, I have to wait for those little thumbprints to dry a little bit, my little bees buzzing around. And when they're dry, I'll use my marker to add its stripes and its stinger, its wings, its head, and its antenna, so that we have a beautiful honeycomb that shows our appreciation for the bees and all the hard work they do for our honey. Awesome. Now, we just talked about 3 bugs in our garden, and all 3 of those bugs had wings that can fly. A butterfly can fly, a ladybug can fly, and a bumblebee can fly. But are there any other critters in our garden that can help us, but maybe don't fly? Are there any critters in our garden that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs? Can you think of a bug that has 8 legs and might live in our garden? This bug is special because it can create a trap for its food, and it creates a web. Who knows what animal makes a web? A spider, you're right. Now, spiders can sometimes be scary too, but they are very important because this web that they make traps other bugs that can hurt us, like mosquitoes. They love to gobble mosquitoes, or maybe other bugs that would hurt our plants. So having a spider web and a spider in your garden is a good way to help our garden grow as well. So I have 2 activities to help us appreciate our spider friends. And what I have created is a giant web. I found a container that had holes in it, and I just strung some white string through to create the web. There are two things I can do with this. I can add a bunch of spiders, my 8-legged creatures, into the bottom of my web. I'm going to dump a couple in here. And I can use my science tools to try to reach in and grab a spider from the web. I can save him from his web and use my tools. Or I can use this spider web to play another game. If I have little insects that might be flying around the garden, I can play a game to see if I can trap these insects in the web. So to do that, I'm simply just going to hold up my web. I'm going to take my bumblebee. I'm going to throw it. Oh, my bumblebee went through the web, so he's safe. Let's see about my beetle. Oh, he got caught in the web. He's going to be lunch for a spider. Uh-oh, let's see what else we got. A cricket. You think he's going to make it through the web, or is he going to get stuck? Oh, he knocked the beetle out. Now they're both safe. But here comes a little butterfly flying around. And she got safe from the web too. So you can play different games showing your appreciation for these garden bugs. My spiders and all my flying insects that might get stuck in the spider's trap. So now we know why all these critters are so important to our garden and how they help us and our plants. So the last thing we're going to do is create a little play box so that we can create our own garden and play inside if it's not a beautiful day. So in order to do that, I have a bin or a container. Okay, this is going to be where I'm going to create my garden. And I'm going to use materials from around the house to make it look green and colorful and where bugs might want to live. So the first thing I had was some tissue paper. So I cut it into a little fringe to make it look like grass. And I'm going to lay that in my garden. And then I had some green Play-Doh. So maybe I'll make like a mountain of grass, or maybe just a cool little meadow in the corner of my garden, and fill that in, okay? Let me switch the screen so you guys can see the beautiful garden I'm making. Okay, so in my container to start, I just have my green grass and my green mountain. We have explored nature enough to know that there are things like rocks in the garden. There are things like flowers in our garden, and you can be creative with whatever you might have at home and create your own little space. I'm also going to use spaghetti to kind of make like taller grass in my garden, maybe a place for my bugs to hide, a nice tall space. And then I get to add all the critters that live in my garden and have a little play set. So let's add my, a dragonfly. My dragonfly is going to hang out right here in the tall grass. My grasshopper, they're cool bugs in the garden. An ant climbing up over on the rocks. Ooh, and there's also a beautiful spider in my garden. Maybe I'll use my supplies and make him a web so he can collect some of the bugs that we don't want in our garden and have something to play with. So now I have an awesome little sensory bin that I can add more beetles and my butterflies drinking some nectar from the garden, a bumblebee drinking its nectar from a flower, and I have a beautiful playset to explore with. Pretty awesome, just using the materials I have at home. Okay. So there are so many awesome critters, and the best way to explore them is to go outside and explore. It is a windy but beautiful day today, but go outside, look in your garden. Miss Tara's butterflies came out of their cocoon, so there's going to be more butterflies out in the garden. There are bumblebees using their proboscis, their tongue, to suck up their nectar, ladybugs on the leaves, and look for those spiders building those webs between sticks, between fences, and they'll be catching all those bugs and trapping them to gobble them up. So my friends, grab your magnifying glass, grab any books you might have that can help you learn about garden bugs, and go outside and explore. Have a great time. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of our garden bugs and why they are important to us. And as always, I miss you terribly. Have a great day, my friends. See you soon.